Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue in our series in Talmud Eser Sefirot. We're in Chelek Aleph, Perek Aleph, Inyan Dalid, Ot Kuf, and hopefully this will be either the last or the second to last episode in this Chelek, in this Perek, meaning that there's part 1, chapter 1. We're going to be finishing chapter 1 and moving on to chapter 2 in either next week's episode or 2 more episodes from this week's. I'm excited to move on because we're going to get more interesting soon as we describe the kav, the line that gets introduced into the creation to initiate the process of truly creating the various worlds that we know as Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yatzira, Asiya. That all happens soon. But first, let's get a better picture of what Rav Ashlag is trying to explain regarding the igul, the circle that appears or that remains after the contraction. Because we know that after the contraction took place, the vacant space that remained is explained as being in the image of a circle. The halal, the void, that remains after the contraction within the Nekudam Sayit is described by the Arizal as a circle. He says, Haya igul mikol sevivotav, that space was circular from all sides, completely even. And it was not in the shape of a square or a triangle, but rather it was completely even. So, Rav Ashlag is going to be expanding on that sentence from the Ari to help explain what that really means. Perush ki behechrech na'asta po ezo temuna michmat tzimtzum. It is necessarily so that there be some sort of image that be made over here because of the tzimtzum. Af al pi שהצמצום היה בהשוואה ולא משום שינוי צורה. And even though we've already explained that the Tzimtzum was completely even, and that it did not occur because of a Shinui Tzura, a change in form within the Nekudam Sayit of Ein Sof, as we know that the Nekudam Sayit was in a state of Achdut Pashut, simple unity, with the Or Elyon, the upper light. So therefore there was no potential for a Shinui Tzura. So it couldn't have been that there was a Shinui Tzura that triggered the Tzimtzum. There was no Shinui Tzura. So even though we've already explained that, אמנם אחר הצמצום והסתלקות האור מאותה נקודה אמצעית, הרי נגלה שאין האור העליון ראוי להידבק בה משום הצורה של גדלות הקבלה הנמצאת בה. Nevertheless, after the Tzimtzum, keyword after, and the departure of the light from that Nekudam Sayit, because we know that was what the Tzimtzum is. The Tzimtzum was the departure of the light from the Nekudam Sayit. So after that whole thing happened, it became revealed that the Or Elyon, the upper light, is not fitting to cleave to the Nekudam Sayit because of the Tzura of Gadlut Kabbalah that is found within the Nekudam Sayit. The Tzura of Gadlut Kabbalah. What's that? That's Bechinat Dalid. The revelation of a desire to receive. A Shinui Tzura. In other words, before the Tzimtzum, there was no such Shinui Tzura because the Nekudam Sayit, which is Bechina Dalid, was completely covered and fulfilled by the light of Ein Sof. But after the Tzimtzum, this Nekudam Sayit, this phase number 4, which is what we call Gadluta Kabbalah, the Kliha Kabbalah, the greatest level of reception, it's called the vessel of reception, was exposed. Her great desire to receive was exposed. Not before the Tzimtzum, only after the Tzimtzum, when the light departed, did this become apparent that she is completely different. In fact, she is completely opposite to the nature of the light. And therefore, the light is not fitting to rest in that space, because difference brings distance, as we know. The Kevan Shezenigle, and since this Shinui Tzura was revealed, she fell from the level that she had in the Ein Sof. ואחר כך היא כבר חשובה לבחינת סוף, שפירושו אביות כזה שאין למטה הימינו. And after she fell, she's already become regarded as a sof, as an end, which means the lowest possible aviyut, of which there is nothing below this level of aviyut. Aviyut, remember, is a way to describe the measurement of the desire to receive that a vessel has. The measurement of a person's desire for something, we call that aviyut. In other words, if I have a desire to receive water because I'm thirsty, then I have aviyut. If I lack the desire, meaning I feel completely fulfilled and satisfied, and I do not desire to drink anything or to eat anything, then that means I lack aviyut. If I'm really hungry, I have a lot of aviyut. If I feel satisfied, then I'm not really going to have much aviyut. Aviyut is the power of reception, the power of accepting something. You need space in order to receive. If you don't have space, then your motivation to receive and fulfill that space will be extremely small because you don't have space. If you had space, that's one thing. At least now there is a potential for you to receive, which gives room for aviyut. But if you don't even have space, then forget about having a desire to receive. But what's happening here is after the Shinui Tzura was revealed, being that the Nekudam Sayit is Bechinat Dalit, phase 4 of desire to receive, she already became regarded as a sof, which means that she became regarded as the lowest possible aviyut. She fell from the highest possible level, where she was completely enveloped by the light of Ein Sof, to the lowest possible level, of which there is no level below. Meaning she became the lowest of the low in terms of her aviyut. Because before the Tzimtzum, her aviyut was not apparent. After the Tzimtzum, her aviyut became revealed in the highest extent, called Gadlut Haratzon Lekabel, the greatness of the desire to receive. Ki al ken, רק הנקודה האמצעית הזאת נשארה חלל פנוי ואינה ראויה עוד להתלבשות האור. And it is specifically in this manner that the נקודה האמצעית remained as a חלל פנוי, an empty void, and is not fit any longer to clothe the light. Because of this desire to receive that became revealed, because of this shinui tzura, she is no longer fitting to enclose the light. Before, she was. Not only she was fitting, she was actually clothing the light. And now, not only the light departed from her, but the reason it departed was because she's no longer even fitting. That means she doesn't even have the ability, even if she wanted to, even though she wants to. Keep in mind, after the Tzimtzum, the desire to receive doesn't disappear. It becomes revealed. In fact, it is only now, after the Tzimtzum, that one can say that the Nekudam Sayyid actually yearns to receive the light of Ein Sof. Beforehand, she didn't have any conscious yearning or desire to receive because she was already fulfilled. So what we see here is an actual paradox. That the very desire to receive the light distances her from the light. Listen to this tragedy of sorts. It's almost like a tragedy. The very desire to receive fulfillment is what distances you from the fulfillment you seek. If I have a desire to connect to God, and that desire is coming from a desire to receive, not from a desire to give, not because I want to give God the happiness and the joy of connecting to His creation, but rather because I feel lack and I want to fulfill my lacks. So therefore, I desire to receive in order to satisfy my lacks. It is that very desire that distances me from the fulfillment that I claim to seek. This is a very important lesson for life. And that's exactly what happened here with Nekudam Sayyid. The reason that the Tzimtzum occurred was because she chose on her own knowledge and her own volition to say no to the light of Ein Sof, not because of any selfish reason, but rather because she wanted to create more similarity of form, to become closer with the Ein Sof. Since she is a receiver, while he is a giver. And even though, before the Tzimtzum, they were in a state of simple unity, the Arizal explains that they were not as one as they could be. There is a way for Hu and Shmo, for him and his name, meaning the light and the vessel, the Or Elyon and the Nekudam Sayyid, to be even closer than they were when they were united in a simple unity as Hu Shmo Echad in the Ein Sof. And it is for this reason that the Nekudam Sayyid woke up and said, no, I am no longer going to receive your light. I'm going to restrict my desire to receive in order to create this space that I require in order to develop my desire from a receiver into a giver, so I can emulate you And by emulating you, I will be able to reunite with you in an even greater unity and be even closer to you than I was before the Tzimtzum. So we see here that the Tzimtzum was a mechanism that the Nekudam Sayyid chose to use in order to facilitate an even greater unity between her and Ein Sof, which would ultimately come about through the transformation of her desire to receive into the desire to give, thus aligning her form with that of the Ein Sof, causing a greater similarity and closeness. So it's very important to remember, it is not because of a Shinui Tzura that the Tzimtzum occurred. Rather, it was because of her desire to emulate the form of Ein Sof as a giver. Now, although that may be true, the result of the Tzimtzum was the revelation of a Shinui Tzura, of the Shinui Tzura that exists within the Nekudam Sayyid. However, it is not because of the Shinui Tzura that the Tzimtzum occurred. As we already explained, I'll say it one last time. The Tzimtzum occurred because of her desire to become closer to the Ein Sof. That's an altruistic desire. It is not selfish. So her desire to receive that we're speaking about here was only revealed after the Tzimtzum. But before the Tzimtzum, there was no such thing as the revelation of a desire to receive. The only desire that she had was a desire to become more similar to the light of Ein Sof. And because she wanted to become more similar to the light of Ein Sof, she woke up and put a stop to the light and said, I choose to no longer receive your light in order to allow for me the space, the opportunity to develop my desire even more, that I may one day be able to unite with you in an even greater way. How? By the work that we are doing in this world right now. Through the transformations that we are hopefully fulfilling in this world through Torah and mitzvot, which the only reason we do Torah and mitzvot is to transform our desire to receive into a desire to share, thus fulfilling the intention of why the Nekudam Sayyid chose to perform the Tzimtzum in the first place. The whole intention behind the Tzimtzum was in order to become even more similar and closer to God. So she chose to contract. She chose to come down to this world through Yisrael. Yisrael is the manifestation of this will. And through the work that Yisrael has been chosen to fulfill in this world, they are actually facilitating this transformation. And eventually, when the children of Israel complete their work, they will return to a state of even greater unity with the light of Ein Sof than they had before they came down. Now, let's continue and complete this ot. So after the Tzimtzum, the Nekudam Sayyid became unfitting to hitlabshut haor, to clothe the light. וג' הבחינות הקדמות במעלה וזכות עדיין הן ראויות להתלבשות האור בהן גם לאחר הצמצום. But the three preceding phases, בחינה א', ב', and ג', were still fitting to receive the light. They were still ראויות. ראוי, that means worthy or fitting. Even after the tzimtzum, they were still ראוי, fitting to receive, to enclothe the light. ואם כל זה ביארנו לעיל שלא נעשית לבחינת סוף מטעם הנזכר לעיל. Ein Sham. However, previously we have already explained that she did not become a Sof. What? Just a second ago you told me she became a Sof, which means the level of Aviyut, that there's nothing below it. And now you're saying, and with all that we've explained, that she does not actually become a Sof. וזהו שמדייק הרב ואומר שמקום החלל ההוא היה עיגול מכל סביבות. רוצה לומר, לא סוף ממש. He's explaining that this is why the Arizal came to say, in such precise language, that the place of that halal was agol, was round, was circle, from all sides. רוצה לומר, לא סוף ממש, אלא כמו הסוף שיש בתמונת עיגולה. He means to say, not a literal sof, not a literal end, but rather similar to the sof that exists within a circle. Similar to the end point that exists within a circle. Asher sofa b'merkaza, where in which the sof is found in the center of the circle. באופן שתצייר לך את דלת הבחינות ההם כמו דלת עיגולים זה בתוך זה כגדלי הצלים. In such a way that you could depict these four phases as four circles, one within the other, just as the layers of an onion. He's saying, Bechina Aleph, Bechina Bet, Bechina Gimel, Bechina Dalet. These four phases can be depicted as four circles, one within the other. Phase 4 is the innermost circle. Phase 3 surrounds Phase 4. Phase 2 surrounds Phase 3. And Phase 1 surrounds all of them. And in this manner, Ein Bechinat Ma'ala v'mata Yaminu small. In this manner, there is no such thing as up, down, left, and right. Why? כי בחינה א' למשל, שהיא בחיצה האלף מקפת למעלה מכולן, בחיצה הב' היא נמצאת מקיפת למטה מכולן. He's saying, take Bechina Aleph, the outermost circle which surrounds Bechina Bet, Gimel, and Dalid. The upper half of Bechina Aleph surrounds all of them from above. So is Bechina Aleph higher than all of them? Well, not really, because look at the lower half of Bechina Aleph. The lower half of Bechina Aleph is lower than all of them. So which one is it? Is Bechina Aleph higher than all of them or lower than all of them? Well, you can't really say either. Because half of it surrounds all of them from above, and the other half surrounds all of them from below. So which one is it? Is Bechina Aleph higher or lower? You can't say. There is no higher and lower here. Same thing refers to right and left. Take the right side of Bechina Aleph. Surrounds all of the Bechinot from the right. But then take a look at the left side of Bechina Aleph. Surrounds them all from the left. So is Bechina Aleph to the right of all the other Bechinot, or is it to the left? Same thing applies here. You cannot really depict right and left. There is no distinction between up, down, right, and left between these four phases. V'ken shara Bechinot, and this is so too the case with regards to Bechinat Bet, Bechinat Gimel, and Bechinat Dalet. You cannot discern up, down, right, and left. V'achar kach ein kan ma'ala v'mata. So therefore, there is no up and down. V'al derech zeh yaminu small, and so too with regards to right and left. B'ofen she'ein b'neihem shum mala zeh mizeh. In such a way that there is no hierarchy between them. V'kulan shavot b'hashva'a echad. and they are all equal in one similarity, one evenness. Remember, we are not talking about the Ein Sof anymore. We are still, we're talking about after the Tzimtzum. We're talking after the Tzimtzum. The Chalal Panui exists at this stage. Bechina Aleph, Bet, and Gimel are still fitting to clothe the light. Not that they don't clothe the light anymore, but they're still Ra'ui. There's still the potential for them to clothe the light. But not so with Bechina Dalit. Bechina Dalit is not Ra'ui. Is not fitting to receive the light. It is upon her that the Tzimtzum occurred, not upon Aleph, Bet, and Gimel. So, Aleph, Bet, and Gimel are still Ra'ui to clothe the light. Dalit is no longer Ra'ui. But even still, these four phases are not distinct in terms of up, down, right, and left. Ein bneihem shum ma'ala zeh mizeh. There is no hierarchy. Vekulan shavot b'hashva echad. And they are all equal in one evenness. V'hatam kvar nitba'er mipnei shetzibat hatzimtzum lo hayta mishum shinui tzura ein sham heitev. And the reason for this has already been explained in the previous discourse, that the Tzimtzum did not occur because of the Shinui Tzura, as mentioned above. The Shinui Tzura became revealed only after the Tzimtzum. There was no Shinui Tzura before the Tzimtzum. So you cannot say that a Shinui Tzura caused the Tzimtzum. Rather, it's the reverse. Her desire to become even closer to God caused the revelation of the Shinui Tzura after the Tzimtzum. V'zehu shemedayek harav igul mikol svivotav v'hashvaya gemura. And this is why the Arizal is so precise in his language when he says that this Chalal Panui is agol mikol sevivotav b'hashva gemura, is circular from all sides, completely even. Veheven. And you should understand this very deeply. So, I hope that this was at least somewhat understandable. And if not, I highly recommend repeating this class, especially this one. And as we progress through this series, it will become only increasingly important for you to take notes, for you to repeat, for you to contemplate, for you to ask questions. Because if we don't understand one episode, one teaching, it will only become increasingly difficult to understand the next one. So, I love you all for watching. I thank you for participating and trying, despite the difficulty, to understand the words of the Eitz Chaim. Every attempt to learn Eitz Chaim is breaking through a tremendous amount of klipot and bringing a tremendous amount of light to the world, even if you don't perceive it. Every effort that you expend towards spirituality helps the entire world grow one step closer towards Mashiach. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.